All right, guys. Good morning. Good afternoon. Not sure everybody is, but we're going to get started anyway. The due now was posted. I was just really addressing, just to get some feedback on where you guys are mentally and work-wise with the mergers and acquisitions. So one of the things I do want to know and hear from you guys first, and you do have access to unmute yourselves, what has been the hardest part of this process? It's probably been about 2.5 weeks we've been doing this. What has been the hardest part of developing this process? All right, don't all, unmute at once.
Hello.
Hello, what's up, Frida?
For the hardest part, I think I had the most trouble with the legalization aspect. I think I was able to come up with a general sense of where I wanted to go with them, but I had a little difficulty in elaborating on the topics that I chose.
For which part?
The legalization.
So that's what, part 4 against the Department of Justice?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Let's touch on that in a minute. Let's just hear from everybody else. What other questions or hiccups have you guys had? Darren, Prasanga, anything?
I think the hardest part for me was there's so much info. It's very hard to make it concise and put it in slides. It felt very scattered almost, and it wasn't confusing to me, but I'm afraid it might be confusing to someone who's looking at the slides.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Do you have your slides to share? We can take a look, or are you still working on it?
I'm still working on it. I'm doing the format first, but I think I'm done with 6-7 slides. But yeah, okay. I'm working on it.
I do have something I'm going to share briefly in a minute. Actually, we'll do that first, and we'll do that right now. So I do want to strongly urge and suggest this. Every new idea that you guys have, so every new idea. So if you're looking at part 3, I said to provide 3 reasons this is beneficial to the consumer, okay, and how. Each idea I would recommend be a slide. I would recommend you make that a slide. In order to get enough data and be able to have a concise response, to jam all of the 3 major benefits is difficult. So Vincent did this. Why would it benefit consumers? First, he only has 2 here, okay? And actually the one benefit is increasing accessibility of Heineken products. So that is really the first benefit. But if you notice, it's very text heavy. There's no percentages, all right? He does have a little bit of content about products and restaurants and deals and the number of countries they're in. But you also have to think critically. He's got Pepsi acquiring Heineken. Pepsi is not going to sell beer in Taco Bell, KFC, or IHOP. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. It is never going to happen. Additionally, if Pepsi sells their products in 200 countries and Heineken sells it in 192, they're only gaining 8 countries. Theoretically, Heineken's only gaining 8 countries. Or are they different countries? So there's not enough information here either. Maybe Heineken's in 50 countries that Pepsi's not in. Well, that would be a big deal, right? That would be a very big deal. So you need to be able to provide more clarity. In order to do that, I wouldn't rush and jam too much information per slide. Okay? I would definitely recommend that each idea is its own slide. So if you get to the Department of Justice, Frida, just to help. Every idea you have about the Department of Justice, make it its own slide. And same thing for you, Prasanga. It will cut down on content, and maybe it makes each idea easier to comprehend. The minute that you start trying to shorten the number of slides you have is the minute you start losing people. So I think every major idea, make one clear, concise slide. If it's got a chart, graph, percentage, number, data point, whatever it is, base it off of that. So for Frida, you're doing, what are your two countries? What are your two companies again?
I did Apple, Client, Atlassian.
All right, Atlassian. So can you tell me what is one of your Department of Justice main topics?
I said that it would increase competition because currently within the productivity suites field, Google and Microsoft are like the dominant companies. So if you add Apple into the mix, it might like increase competition, and then that would probably lead to innovation.
Good. So this is an increase in competition. So what Frida might do on a slide is show the major competitors. So her slide actually might have, if this is her whole slide, I would suggest on her slide, I might have, Amazon, Google, and then maybe Salesforce is CRM. And then maybe you have like 40%, 27%, 18%. And then Apple is at like, 9%, right? And then over here, you have Atlassian at 4%. So if you combine these two, you now have 13%. So you have more competition. And maybe the money that Apple has could increase the services here that are offered. That could be the argument you can try to make. Definitely. But I would leave that as one slide. Like for me, that would be one slide you provide the Department of Justice. All right, so that's one slide I would provide. What else would I provide the Department of Justice? Maybe I provide the Department of Justice with prices, right? So right now, or a client list. So right now, Atlassian is growing at this pace, maybe. Google is growing at this pace. Amazon's growing at this pace. Apple is growing at this pace. And what you're showing is that Atlassian is actually growing less than the other two, and then maybe CRM, Salesforce are growing like that. They are growing at the fourth largest, even faster than Apple, but slower than the other big three. Combining them would allow them to grow faster in order to compete. That could be a statement. That could be your second slide. If you can see how fast are they growing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So right there, you have two slides. So those would be the two arguments you made to the government on why they should let you acquire Atlassian. If you just gave them one slide and one idea, they'll probably still say no. So you're probably going to have to give a couple. I didn't give you guys a number because I was leaving that up to you, but giving one probably won't be enough. But you're going to have to make the argument to me, I'm the Department of Justice, right? For number 3, I'm the consumer. For number 4, I'm the Department of Justice. For number 5, I'm the investor. You've got to convince me. So if you're giving me 1 idea, 2 ideas, 3 ideas, 4 ideas, that's up to you to decide what ideas and how in depth you want to go. But I would give 1 slide per idea. So for the investors part, if you want to give me 3 different ideas, that's a great idea. But don't give me all 3 on 1 slide, because if you give me all 3 on 1 slide, the risk is it's too much to absorb. You would have to do 1 per slide. Now, it's not requiring you guys to do more work. It's really just taking the work that you're thinking of and spreading it out on more slides. That would be smart, the smartest thing that you guys can do. Does that make sense? All right. Okay. What else? We have those. That's definitely what I wanted to cover, just to make sure you guys thought about getting separate slides in order to organize your ideas. And the persona, when you have a lot of content, it would also help you cut it down. Let me also show you this. So Vincent said a couple things that you guys have to be careful of. So he originally wrote, I believe this should be an acquisition. Don't use the words I believe. Number one, they know what your beliefs because it's your presentation. Number two, the word I believe, the phrase I believe sounds like a opinion, an opinion. It's not an opinion, right? This is not an opinion. You're saying this is a matter of fact. This needs to happen. Okay, so you need to say this should result in an acquisition. Don't say I believe Pepsi's market cap is 4 times of Heineken. No, it is 4 times the size of Heineken. You know, it's not, I think acquiring Heineken would increase accessibility of Heineken products. No, nobody cares what you believe. What can you prove? Right? What is your fact-based information that you want to provide? Which means your statements need to be direct and forward. This would be a great way to do that. Don't use I believe or I think. They don't care about what you believe and think. They care about what can you prove. Make general, specific statements. Okay? Okay. So I did want to show that. Also, for your balance sheet, this slide works. I'm not going to say the content works, but the slide works. You can give me the Google Sheet link and then give me your bullet points under it. You don't have to put your balance sheet in the slide. Let the balance sheet be a different link. Okay? Okay. Mr. Power, I read all the math. Nintendo balance sheet still doesn't add up in yen, but it does in US dollars. Wow. Really? Okay. Wow. All right. Well, you're doing it in US dollars, so I guess you're okay. That's weird that it wouldn't add up in yen. But once you change the currency, it does. So you're okay then. You don't have any balance sheet issues then if you're doing US dollars, right? All right. Also have an extra sheet in the doc to show incorrect info. Good. Good. Wonderful work. I'm impressed. All right. So does anybody want to show anything? I mean, I'm not going to keep you guys if you don't need it. I'll let you guys just go and get to work. If you guys are comfortable, I'm not going to force you to stay. I mean, I know there's only a handful of you guys here. This is your time. We've got an extra, 20 minutes left. If you can use it, great. if what I said about laying out this balance sheet page where just putting the link helps, and trying to clarify having separate slides for each separate idea helps. If that's really that's the major sticking points. If that's all you guys are stuck on, I'm ready to let you guys go now, and you guys can go get straight to work. Again, we extended it to do Wednesday, so you guys have plenty of time. Today's the 4th. No, not Wednesday. The Thursday, I think. 5th is Tuesday. 6th is Wednesday. Thursday the 7th. You got 3 more days. Tuesday, Wednesday, then to do Thursday by midnight. Thursday, 11:59 p.m. So you guys have plenty of time. The thing is, we are going to have class tomorrow. So if you're not going to show your work today, I'd love to have some of you guys show what you have tomorrow so we can give you an authentic critique. All right, so is there anything anybody wants to show or needs clarification on? If not, I'll save the live session and post it, but there's not much I can do for you guys if you guys are comfortable. So if you guys are comfortable, you guys can go, get out of here, get straight to work. Many shows, equity balance sheet numbers. All right, William, send me the link.
Okay, I'll send it right now.
All right. So William wants to share his shareholders' equity part of the balance sheet. We will take a look at that, and then I think we'll let you guys go after that. All right.
Off. I sent the wrong info.
Yeah. Elimination more today, except Department of Justice. Okay, Frida, drop your link in there too. We can speed through that. Just to give you a quick rundown, that works. All right, so Frida made it first. Let's take a look at what Frida got. All right, so right off the bat, nice cover page. Nice initial design. The Atlassian's a little hard to see. I might move the Atlassian up, maybe get a white Apple logo and drop it, whatever you want to do. I love the table of contents slide. This is very clean. So what am I looking at today? Imagine you're really presenting this. Well, what are you presenting? 1, we're going to discuss the overview of the acquisition itself. 2, we're going to go over how the transaction's done. 3, the benefit for consumers. 4, the benefit for investors. 5, is this legal? Will the Department of Justice try to block this acquisition? I love the fact you have a table of contents. And then you have a header slide, right? 1, we're going to look at the overview now. Great. Overview of the situation. Overview of the actual acquisition. All right. In the acquisition piece, I might show the math, Frida. The words are small, so I might see what you can cut and try to make the font larger because the words are small. But if you're doing the acquisition here, maybe at least tell us how much this acquisition will cost.
Should I do that like here first, or should I do it both in the acquisition part and the financials?
Well, I would do it here just so we know how much we're purchasing it for. And then maybe go into depth in the financials.
Okay.
Or I got a better idea. You don't have to talk money at all. How about you do this? Why the acquisition? So the why starts to talk about the business of the acquisition. You don't have to talk dollars here then. So maybe instead of saying the acquisition, because when you say the acquisition, I think, all right, how much? If you say why the acquisition, now what you're doing is you're in your whole thing, you're telling me what's happening in the overview. You don't have to share the money yet. So maybe why the acquisition first.
Okay.
Okay. 2, the transaction. I like the layout. Funding breakdown, 60% debt, 40% cash. This is impressive. All right, let's talk money. What a deal will come out of a combination of debt and cash financing. Apple's AA rating. By the way, Apple today just announced that they're going to the bond market. They're going to raise a lot of money selling bonds starting this month. They just announced it this morning. I don't know at what percent, but so, you know, what they're using that money for, we'll find out. Okay, this looks good. Again, my only concern is, you know, the words are a little small, and, you know, looking at it, reading it in a bullet would be easier. You do have a lot of info, which is great, but again, it's much easier to read 2 bullets than 1 paragraph because it breaks up the idea.
Right.
And maybe if you could be more direct in your delivery. I love the breakdown that you have here for the pricing structure. I just think that reading all of this is a lot of information.
Yeah, it was kind of like hard to like put on that page too because it was so much.
Yeah, it's a lot of info. It's definitely a lot of information. Largely despite negative financial outlook for this year, there are some opportunities that might help alleviate the damage. You know, like this whole first part, I don't even think you need. Because you're looking long-term as while you're buying Atlassian. So this first line might not even be relevant despite negative outlooks for this year. Every single company has a negative outlook for this year. So you can probably just remove that.
Okay.
During the past 4 business years, I would just say 2016 to 2020, Apple generated. Yeah, I wouldn't say during the past 4 years. I would just list the years 2016 to 2020, and that already cuts out like a handful of words. The balance sheet is super small. I love that the balance sheet is there. Okay, so here's an idea. You guys can definitely scale your balance sheets this small to fit, knowing I can't read it. But what you should do is just make sure that you put the link to the balance sheet right here. That way I can click on it and open it. I think this is a good idea. Even though I can't read it, have it there. So I can see that the math was done at a skim's glance. However, do put the link so I can access the link. That's a better way of doing it than not having it at all. And I have to commend you also on your formatting, right? Headline, all caps, bold, and then explanation. Bold, explanation. Bold, explanation. It's a great idea. Good layout. I am going to post this. I'm not going to tell you guys to steal her formatting and layout, but this will be on the live session. At least I would suggest, you know, a table of contents is a great idea because you are going to be delivering these verbally, right? So this would be a good idea. Walk them through it. Let's go balance sheet. Now you're talking the consumer. So you have, so you're giving me 3 ideas of why the consumer, right? 1, 2, 3.
I think the idea for this was that I was gonna prove that Atlassian and Apple have similar target markets. So when they're combined together, the services will be more efficient. So I just started by like showing who Apple's target market is and then who Atlassian's is.
Got it. So who uses Apple? Integration of, so I like your explanation better than what I'm reading here where it says who uses Apple. I'd rather you write like Apple's target market. And then you would just say high income professionals around the world, loyal to the brand or switching it. Right? So I'd write who's their target market. And then here I would do the same thing. You know, who's their target market? And then you can maybe mention how they have similar targets.
Okay.
Then I think it makes sense. Then I think it definitely makes sense. Benefits. Love the structure. Font's still a little bit small. Increase in service improvements, lower prices, ecosystem building. Good. For investors, here's the fun part. New opportunities. Again, this is long. I would make this into 2 bullets instead of 1 paragraph. When getting into 2 bullets, maybe it cuts some of the content. This is not a circle. That's definitely an egg. So I would, you know, compress this a little because this is definitely an egg, not a circle. So you're gonna have to, you know, make that look like a circle. Here's a question for you. And I don't want you, I assume you did not make this, right? You found this or you made it?
I found the data online, but like the graph itself didn't match my theme, so I had to like make the whole chart again.
Okay, so here's a cool idea. Now you already made this, which means you can change it, right?
Yeah.
How dope would this be? You're trying to convince investors to buy this idea you have, like to agree with it. How great of an idea would it be if you can take what Atlassian earns and put it right here and blow it out, right? And you can say the phone is now, 40%, and this is now 20, this is now 7, this is now 7, this is now 6, and Atlassian now makes up 14% of product sales. I mean, now, again, I don't know if you have the data. I don't know if that's something that would interest you. This could be cool in terms of saying, hey, look, this is chart 1, and then the second pie chart can have the change once you incorporate Atlassian. And then Apple investors can say, holy crap, you're right. This would actually integrate a whole new services revenue stream. And then all of these products, the iPad, the wearable, the Mac, the iPhone, all of these products could tap into this service, growing this Atlassian service, potentially. Don't have to do it, just an idea while I was thinking out loud.
So it's like a projection in a way?
Yeah, like a projection of what, so what would it look like with Atlassian? So we know what Apple is right now. And for William's project, with Apple buying Peloton, what would Apple hardware look like with Peloton? So the iPad, wearables, home, the Mac, and the iPhone would be a smaller percentage. The Peloton bike would end up having a breakdown. But services would probably go up because those subscriptions go into services. Benefits, legalization, Department of Society benefits, innovation, increasing competition. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, this is really strong. This is very strong.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do the credits yet because I wasn't like 100%.
I noticed that. Again, I would bullet this. I'm not sure I want a full-fledged essay here.
Okay.
Or maybe leave this, because this is like an extra piece, societal benefits, right? But you definitely have to, I think, bullet this. So 1, 2, 3 bullets. Same thing here, maybe 2 bullets. Same thing here, 2 bullets. Similar to this. This looks a lot better, right? This is a much stronger, it's much more comfortable to read for someone like me versus this, which is just like, it looks like a whole lot of content.
Right.
Okay. Good job. I'm excited to actually read the final piece. I don't want to read too deep into all of it because I do want to sit down and actually enjoy it. And I don't want to read too much into the project as of yet, but it does look good thus far. William, here's your Apple acquisition of Peloton. How's the balance sheet look? First and foremost, you have this huge gap over here. Like, bring this cell in, right? You don't want these huge gaps because, again, when somebody reads your balance sheet, they don't want to look at huge gaps either. So I would definitely suggest all of these. I would bring all of your columns tighter, okay?
Okay.
Good. Okay. You're doing 13 billion in cash, right? So this whole thing is 13 billion.
Yeah.
Okay. I would still color your cells, right? Like Frida had. It's much easier to see when the cells are colored, similar to how we did it in class. I would do the same thing when you're finished. Color your cells, just so as a viewer, 1, it's more appealing, but 2, it's also easier to see. So it's not just more attractive, it's easier to see, and it's easier to see that these are 3 separate ideas. Apple balance sheet, Peloton balance sheet, the dates are accurate, the new Apple balance sheet as of June 2020. You're predicting, okay. I would use today's month, so January, February, March, April. I would use May 5, 2020, just because you're assuming that's what it is in May, or maybe even do, you could probably do, I would maybe do this, do 12, 2019, because these are 2019 numbers. So I would do this as 12, 2019. That might actually make more sense, because if you say this is April 2020, you're not taking into account the most recent earnings report.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think all of you guys could do that. That's actually a pretty good idea. Unless you're, use the date of the balance sheet that you have for the new balance sheet. Cost of acquisition, I would bold this and bold this. Like anywhere where you bold the category, bold the words, bold the numbers. Bold, bold, bold. Okay, and these are the values are in millions.
Yes.
Okay. Damn. So Peloton has Peloton has 1 billion in liabilities, and they have 2.5 billion in assets. Okay, so it's a net gain. So it'd be like a 1.5 billion asset gain by purchasing them. That's not bad.
Right.
Okay, and it's costing you 13 billion to purchase them. Okay, I like it. I mean, I'm not going to add up the math right now. I'm looking at some of your equations. Equations seem to be on point. Let's see, does it balance? 343,202, 343,202. Your balance sheet's good.
Yeah, because they balance, but like on Peloton's balance sheet, I saw that they had shareholders' equity as a deficit. So I was a bit confused if like deficit means you subtract, because when you add the 2,584, it comes out to be balanced. But that had me confused in Peloton's balance sheet.
The negative.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
wouldn't it be negative 2,584.2?
Yeah, so if it's a negative, then like you would have to add it as a negative, which is why it still balances. All right, so a shareholder deficit, let me see, accumulated deficit. I'd have to take a look deeper into that.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I'm reading the numbers incorrectly, but
it says accumulated deficit.
Yeah, it just said total shareholders as equity, and then in parentheses deficit.
But it said accumulated deficit like this right here.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would be accumulated deficit.
All right, so accumulated deficit. Okay, so if you have a negative earnings report, like negative earnings, you would end up with a deficit. That's why.
Right.
That's the reason it's negative. So negative number is fine. It's not nice to look at, but yes, it is normal. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it's not an issue. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is strong. I think add the colors and you're good. Apple gets a color, Peloton, the new balance sheet, and I think the whole acquisition fund, cash and cash. Make sure you bold fund type.
Okay.
Think you're good, Big Willie style. Think you're good. Again, I would treat it similar to Frida's. Drop in the whole balance sheet. I know it's not easy to read, but at least you know it's there. And then put the link, right? You would put the link of it right here as a live link so I can click it and open it.
Right.
Not bad. Not too shabby. All right. Anyone else? I mean, anybody else? I would suggest if you don't want to show today, it's fine. We covered some decent things. I would definitely, at the very least, make sure that you show me something tomorrow. All right. Some of you guys should show me something tomorrow just so we can see where we're at, because the due date is coming Thursday, and I would hate for you guys to try to show something, Thursday, and it's too late for you to make changes. Okay.
Mr. Proud, can I show you my presentation too?
Yeah, send it over. We'll take a quick peek.
Perfect.
All right, mergers, acquisitions, and spinoff. Okay, so first thing, remember, you guys are going to be presenting this in the real world. Do not call this a project.
Okay.
All right, and don't call it the mergers and acquisition spinoff. I would go something similar to what Frida's got here. Just present what you're presenting. Right? Present what you're presenting. Apple acquires Atlassian. Apple acquires Peloton. Throw the Apple logo, throw the Peloton logo. And I'll be honest, maybe your front page, I like the graphic of the two puzzle pieces connecting together. But, you know, you're acquiring Peloton. Put somebody on a bike.
Okay.
I think that'd be pretty cool. Be consistent in your formatting. So merger, acquisition, spinoff. I don't think you need this because you already have it here. Apple Inc. acquires Peloton. I would just drop that.
Okay.
And I would actually do Apple Inc. I would do it right here. So I would actually do, you know, just layout wise, Apple Inc. acquires Peloton up here. And then you can do the bike bigger, the girl running bigger, and the Peloton app bigger.
Okay.
All right. How will the transaction happen? Good. 13 billion, use 9 billion in market securities, 4 billion in cash. Good. I like the Apple Pay thing. It's clever. Layout, new Apple digital fitness offerings. Good. Improved Apple Health app functionality. Now, benefits for consumers. This could be one of those situations where it's a lot of information. This could be one of those situations where you decide that you want to make this one slide, this a second slide, and this a third slide.
Okay.
Okay. So it increases Apple's digital fitness, whatever. So if you can find users, or you have user stuff here. So these charts would be bigger on its own slide. That'd be great. Improved Apple Health app functionality. Increased data, right? Increased data on users. So it's not just health app functionality, but also the data. Access to new fitness content. I wouldn't say superb because some people might consider the content bad, but it is new content. So access to new content. And then maybe number 3 is more about how it all integrates. Because remember, you need data. So number 1 has data, it looks like, and then you need a synopsis of what the data means. Number 2 is improved Apple Health app functionality. Well, how does it help the app function better? Right? Because you're not buying an app functionality business or a sensor for your heart rate. You're buying Peloton. So does the Peloton app have some technology you can integrate into the Apple Health app? That would be good.
Right.
Access to new fitness content. Yes. Now, how does it work on all your devices? You know, does all of this connect through the Apple TV subscription service model?
Oh, so that would be like just its own slide so that I can further talk about it.
Yes,
Okay.
You can go into depth. So number 1, you get a slide. Number 2 gets a slide. Number 3 gets a slide. Right? Number 1 and 3 excite me the most. Number 2 is okay, but number 1 excites me because new digital offerings and new Peloton users on this platform that Apple now operates that weren't previously maybe using the Apple Health app. Now you have also access to new content. That content, yeah, it's a great idea, but that content is a way to tie people into the Apple ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So what's that new ecosystem look like is really your focus for number 3. The argument against the Department of Justice blocking the deal. Long headline, see if you can tweak that. The national issue, Americans don't exercise enough. Okay. Our solution, Apple brand digital FedEx products and workout subscription. So this is more a consumer argument again, right? This would be like a 4th consumer argument because the Department of Justice would block this because Apple gets too big. The Department of Justice would block this because Peloton, you know, if Apple's this big, now Apple is this big, well, is Apple a monopoly? Or can you give me a pie chart that shows, ready, gym memberships, and then, you know, Nordic Track is another company that does fitness subscriptions. And then, you know, Peloton here.
Right, maybe
And
SoulCycle.
then there's another company. And what you show is that Peloton's not the only major player, but Peloton's also only 10% of the market because 80% of people work out in a gym, not at home.
Mhm.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that would be interesting to show that the Americans exercising enough. That sounds more like an impact for the consumers because now consumers might be, you know, ease of access to the platform. So if you can easily access the Peloton platform on the Apple TV, on any Apple device, you can access anything on Peloton. On, you know, any workout can be streamed or saved, and it coexists on the Peloton platform and the Apple Health platform. Like what that might do is get people to exercise more. So that sounds more consumer based.
Got it.
The Department of Justice is more about money, size, and competition. That's what you're gonna have to research. Is Apple too big? Is Peloton, does it have enough competitors? You know, will Apple own the fitness industry if they buy Peloton? That answer is gonna be no. Peloton's relatively new. You know, they're not gonna own it, but you have to like make the argument. You have to show some charts or some data that proves that, yeah, Apple will get bigger, but it's not going to crazily make Apple bigger, and there's so much other competition. That's what you're going to have to argue. Let's see. Reasons why Apple investors. Again, if you're giving them 3 reasons, I'd give them 3 slides.
3 slides. Okay.
Yep. The old balance sheet versus the new balance sheet. I like the old and new balance sheet. And then maybe you do. So if you have the old balance sheet and the new balance sheet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I might, before you do this one, I would introduce this, right? Old, new. So I'm not sure you need both of these. I think you can get away with showing all of these because if you just do what Frida did with this balance sheet, I think if you only show your new slide with all of this information, this is enough. It shows Apple, it shows Peloton, it shows the new one. I don't think you have to show like 3 different balance sheets.
Okay, so just all in one.
I would give you all in one. Yeah, I would show me all in one. Yeah, definitely. And then make sure you just cite your sources because these are just website links. Make sure you do the citations. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think it's good. I know you're still, you know, probably dialing it up and checking it, but I think these would be 3 separate slides. That way it's not jammed. It allows you to make your charts and images larger. Same thing here. All of these 3 gives you, you know, larger charts and text.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one thing investors want to know about is the future. So for those of you still working, and we'll be done in like a second, you know, what is new? What new is going to happen in the future? How is Apple, how's the stock going to grow? Like, right, are people going to buy this stock and their people are going to invest because of, you know, Apple's got these new services and all these new users? Are people now going to start buying iPhones? Are more people going to buy a Peloton because now there's an Apple logo on it also? You know, are you going to have a Peloton in the Apple store, which might increase Peloton prices because it becomes an impulse purchase? That would be super cool. All right, so those are things to definitely consider also. You know, I've been to a Peloton store in a mall. They are kind of laid out like an Apple store. It's very open. It's very, you know, it's light colored, so it's very bright. And you get to play and test and play around with all the technology they have. They let you try stuff on. You know, they do what Apple does to try to get you to love their product. And if Apple doesn't and Peloton doesn't, imagine being able to do that in the Apple store, a little area where you can go test ride this bike. You might really make some impulse purchases in that Apple store. All right. Good start. I'm going to let you guys go. I think we covered quite a bit. I will post this video briefly in a few moments. We'll do this again tomorrow. Obviously, we'll need to see some new faces showcasing work tomorrow, so make sure you guys have all your stuff ready to show tomorrow. All right?
So the slides are only due Thursday, right? Not the scripts? Or
No, just the slides. Just the presentation on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
And then Thursday and Friday, we'll discuss the actual pitch. Okay?
Perfect.
All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow.
Take care, Mr. Power. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Thank you.